Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Old and in the Way comedy podcast with Bob and Bark, where we fight ageism one bad joke at a time. Reluctantly, we had to learn the hard way that oftentimes repression and denial are not enough to hold back the tides of reality before we get our tickets punched. So our mission is clear and compelling. We will pull the veil back and reveal much of what's real and absurd with growing old. Political correctness be damned, and with just the right touch of malarkey. But before we get started today, we'd like to thank our fictitious sponsor, Smart Again, for their continued support. Remembering? Smart Again is a brain supplement that will have you wondering how you got to be so damn smart again. Smart Again is made with all unnatural ingredients that will have you incessantly bragging about your heightened mental acuity and lack of cognitive decline. When I first heard about Smart Again, I couldn't believe it. But after taking Smart Again for a couple of weeks, I've been able to find my car in the parking lot. I've stopped yelling at the neighbor's kids. And more times than not, when I walk into a room, I know why I'm there. It's an amazing product, which cannot be found at many of the fine stores throughout this fine country of ours. So let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, somewhere within this triplets of images is my co-partner, Bob Heyman. And our guest today is El Presidente from the Artista Gang in Marin County, where you see Kurt posing before the Golden Gate Bridge. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kurt Crowbar Kangas. You're on. Kurt, tell us about the Artista Gang, its history, what's happening now, and where you'd like to see it go.
Well, within a half an hour, there's a lot of history with Artista. And
Cool.
Mark, you have been a member since the beginning, and so you will probably realize and remember that it was there it is right there. And what I'm wearing is Family Dog. And actually, you might say that the Family Dog kind of disbanded and turned into the Artista. Because many of the Family Dog members were the first members of Artista.
Yeah,
So,
they're the foundation.
yeah, and that was created by Alton Kelly. And you know that the Artista Dragon itself, which you're showing on your screen there, was the full color. Oh, there you went. That was created by mostly David Sheridan. And then he brought Pat Ryan in and they did the dragon. And then they brought in a shill, Kelly, Alton Kelly, because Kelly was a master at lettering and he was a master at turning things reflective. And so they brought him in for the silver overtones of the horns on the dragon and anything, the reflection in the paint tube. You can't see it close up, but the reflection is Mount Tamalpais, by the way. And yeah. And so they brought in Kelly. Now, Kelly. He's a very brilliant artist, very brilliant. I've known him for a long, long time, since about 1967.
Yeah.
And Kelly would get in these niches. Like at one point, he unraveled a joint and he noticed the paper kind of had two colors to it, the burnt color and then the paper color. So he started to create art and he called it roach art. So the mind of Kelly, he would get into these little niches and he loved gangs. He loved gang things. And so to make a long story short, he's the one that suggested that they turn Artista into a gang, tongue in cheek, of course. They had a lot of rules, which were basically no rules. I can imagine Pat Ryan came up with that because Pat never liked rules to begin with.
I think it's an Old Testament of artists everywhere because inherently art is freedom expressed.
Yeah. And we know that communist countries don't like art because it's free expression. So
Well, let's not start bad mouthing Fox. Well, maybe we should, but that's another story.
no. We got to stay on the subject, and because Artista has a lot of overtones of another group called the Clamper Society, E. Clampus Vitus, which are basically another group of people that started in the 1800s. And basically, they were an organization of drunkards and comedians. And they had a slogan, which was "No cure." There ain't no
Oh,
cure when you're a clamper. Are you familiar with the clampers?
not until this precise moment in time.
I
Okay,
am
well, you
eclampus,
are.
eclampus vitus, and I'm not sure I would draw a distinction between comic. Well, it sounds like they overlap between drinkers and comedians.
Yeah, yeah. They were just fun-loving people. But if you go up to a lot of these little towns on the mountain range from Placerville on up, you'll notice that a lot of old houses, a lot of old bars, there'll be a plaque out in front dedicating this by the Clamper Society.
Right.
And yeah, and they wear their colors, which are a lot of buttons. They have a hat with a lot of buttons on them, and they like to get together and drink. Well, forget about them. We're talking about the Artista family, and there are a lot of similarities there. Their colors were red and black. Our colors are red and black. Our saying is no rules. Their saying is there's no cure. You get my point.
Can
So
I share a little insight, which may or may not be 100% accurate or appropriate, but one of the things I picked up from Kelly was just the nature of him, David, and Pat. The idea of throwing parties where they would sometimes get notable people like Huey Lewis in the News to perform at some of these events. Knowing Kelly, and I know you guys were roommates at one point, but I think the crux of the whole creation was to throw parties to meet women. Not a bad thing. Kelly was single. We used various venues where all these women would show up, and it just seemed to enhance everything. But not a bad cause, and probably incredibly Me Too, politically incorrect in these times.
Yeah, there are a lot of
But it seemed good in the 70s and 80s.
yeah, there were a lot of other things going on besides the women. But yeah, you're right. A lot of women showed up, and Kelly was with Penny at the time.
Yeah.
And, I have a lot of pictures of them together in front of the food company, as a matter of fact.
Cool.
Which I'm going to put on our website, which is on your little screen right there, artistagang.com. You could go there and look, and you'll see kind of a mixture of comments. There's some newspaper articles in there of how they perceive the Artista gang, and there were a lot of goofy things that they did. They had a gorilla party for Halloween in Fairfax, where about 15 members dressed up in gorilla suits. Have you ever seen that one?
No, and what's so upsetting to me is we live in a time where everybody has a camera, video, and otherwise. And all these moments are just being reinterpreted through platforms like this right now. And we encourage our audience to go to artistagang.com and check it out.
Yeah.
Bob, you were at a party. What was your take on the whole Artista experience?
Well, I've been at a bunch of parties, and they were always good parties. There was good entertainment, and at least used to be a lot of people I knew. I went to a bunch with Joe Buchwald, and back when some of the artists were still alive, and good art, good parties and good art.
If our audience doesn't know, Bob co-created the rock opera with Marty Bell and Joe Buchwald's son back in the 80s.
Yes,
Bob,
it was.
Early 80s, Rock Justice.
and guess who made your t-shirts? Crowbar.
Really?
Yeah, yep. I've got one somewhere in my house.
Okay,
Doesn't fit me anymore.
I don't have any Artista merch, unfortunately, but
Yeah, I got the Rock Justice original shirt with the handcuffs.
yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I made those for
And I've got the album and the t-shirt.
I've got the album in the handcuffs, but not the shirt.
yeah. And the shirt shrunk for some reason. I don't know. I don't get it.
They're all my clothes are shrinking. I can't explain.
Yeah, yeah. So that's quite a tag you have on you if you co-wrote Rock Justice, even though from what I understand, it never went anywhere.
It was
I don't
written
know.
to be a video disc, and the Starship we recorded for RCA, who were supposed to be bringing you video discs, but to my knowledge, aside from 8-track, it's the only technology that ever flopped.
Yeah.
So it was EMI actually signed it to be a video disc, and then only came out with the soundtrack album to a non-existent video disc.
No, okay. Okay, well, let's get back to the Artista because there's
Yeah.
an important
Yeah,
fact here is that, and you're right, Artista in the beginning drew a lot of people, only because Kelly was so well connected.
Yeah.
Ken Kesey joined, Father Guido Sarducci, Howard Hessman. We got all the major players of the 60s generation.
He even got a jacket to Marlon Brando.
Oh, I'll be darned. I never knew that.
It was crazy, but it's like you said, he was such a good front man.
Yeah.
At one point, he was just putting it out there, and for a very brief period with an Artista jacket, you could get backstage at a Dead concert until the Dead figured out this was a rabbit hole they didn't want to go down.
Oh, well, bless her.
That may have lasted for 1 or 2 shows, and then that's
Yeah.
closed.
Well, Bob, you're right as far as recognizable people. There were in the beginning, it was pretty exclusive, and so when you went to a party, everybody knew everybody. But then more and more people started to join, and as they joined, then they became less recognized,
Yeah.
and a lot of people dropped out. A lot of people stopped coming, and plus there was a fair amount of drugs going on. And I remember, pardon me?
I'm shocked to hear that.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. Anyhow, at one point, I think the parties began in 1980, 81. There were minor parties going on, and Kelly was the energy behind most of that. And he got tired and he dropped out. And then at that point, Pat Ryan and me and Raymond Van Tassel and Rebecca Nichols, we all picked up the booking part of it and started to have it at George's, at that time, New George's in Santa Fe. That was our kind of our headquarters for a while. And our last party was in, I think, 1989. And we had the Freaky Executives play the last party. And then what happened is I moved to Maui and began the Maui Blues Association over there and worked with a lot of music. And I stayed there until 2002. Well, during that period of time, nothing was going on with Artista. And no parties, no anything. So when I came back, I approached Kelly and I said, "Hey, Kelly, we should start this up again. What do you think?" And Kelly poo-pooed it. He goes, "No, it's dead. Let it lie." So I was perfectly satisfied with that, and I backed off. And then Kelly died in about 2005, I think, somewhere around
2008
2008.
in Petaluma.
Yeah, I know. I've been at his house many times here. Sad time. Anyhow, at that point, I approached Pat Ryan and I said, "What about you? You're the last man standing. Do you want to revive it?" And he said, "Yeah, let's go for it." As long as he didn't have to do anything. And I made certain promises to him that I would not use it to my benefit. This would be just keep the ball rolling, keep the music coming. And then at that point, we started to raise money, and we dedicated that money to certain needs of the Artista family. And so that's where we started. We had it at in Sonoma, and we called it a Joy Fest Artista event. And those are really cool. And so that's kind of where it's at now. And
You've resurrected the monster. You're back. Now, where does the dragon go?
yeah, we got hundreds and hundreds of new members. I
Cool.
do remember that I don't remember what year, but we had a big party at 2B1 Studios in San Francisco. That if you guys know who Boots Houston is,
I
Sure.
actually was there.
yeah, I put out an
And
announcement.
you showed up in a limo.
You remember that?
Uh,
We did the old had a trail of people go in one door and come out the other door while they're being filmed. So it looked like we had about 50, 60 people in that limousine. That was kind of cute. And anyhow, I pre-made about 100 jackets for that. Nobody has any money, and we needed to get the ball rolling here. So I went ahead and pre-made all these jackets, and then we had a big gathering there to make new members. And we did really good. And yeah, so oh, look at that. That's uh-oh, you disappeared there, buddy.
there you
There's
go.
the jacket.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I got a green screen. It's screwing things up.
Yeah. But that is the jacket, and so that's where it's at now. And your next question is going to be, where's the future of Artista? Is that correct?
Psychic.
Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know, man. I mean, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be 76 years old. Holy smokes. 76 years old. You remember when you were 18? And
Too well. I just can't remember yesterday or where my car's parked.
yeah, but we looked at most 76-year-old people, and they had one foot in the grave. I mean, they were old.
It's
Yeah.
it's not pretty, but what other choice
Well,
do we have?
you couldn't trust anybody over 30, so we've gone way past that one.
Yeah, that was the slogan at that time. A lot of people didn't want to grow past that age.
Yeah.
But here we are, and I don't get it. We're still kicking. Anyhow, I don't know where Artista is going to end up. All I do is continue to make members. I've got a box full of jackets, and every year we have a major party. Okay, these parties are legendary. We've had over 120 bands from the Bay Area play our parties. Like you said, Huey Lewis and the News. There's Carlos Santana, Joan Baez. They've all made an appearance and played for Artista. Brian Auger and the Trinity. How about that for old names?
And they're members of Journey, Frank Zappa, the Starship that were attendees at the parties.
Yeah, they were. And we've had the remnants of the Jefferson Airplane play our party many times. People have played, members of the Dead.
Sam Andrew, Janis's lead guitarist, was an Artista. I have an interview with, he wore his Artista jacket and t-shirt.
Sam Andrew, yeah, he was a good part of Artista. And we were even able to get Kathy McDonald, who's one of my absolute favorite people, and in my opinion, one of the top female singers in the world. And we were able to get her to sing a few times before she passed away.
Kurt, Crowbar, we're about to run out of time, but
Really?
Bob and I are exploring doing a show on tribute bands. Do you have any thoughts about tribute bands? Because Bob was telling me that. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I see playing around is tribute bands, not so much new bands, but tribute bands to everything from Queen, the Stones, the Dead. It seems to be a thing.
Yeah, I had opinions about tribute bands at one time, but now because of the booking agencies, because of the the ticket master, the ticket distributors, they have screwed up everything, and they have made it nearly impossible price-wise to see anybody who's real.
Yeah.
If you want to go see the Eagles or anybody that has a name, Cyndi Lauper, it doesn't make any difference. You're going to pay a minimum of $150, and then scalpers get in there and put them online, and now you're looking at $1,000. And then you got these greedy sons of, never mind, Ticketron and I don't know the names of them. All I know is that they charge $15 to $25, $35 just to sell one ticket.
Yeah.
And that pisses me off. So point being that I do recognize tribute bands, and you get to see those for about $10, right? And there was a band up here by the name of Pete Floyd, Pete as in Peter, and his name is oh boy, what's his name? He's the lead singer of The Grain, and he put together a tribute band for Pete Floyd, and it is so spot on. It's scary, down to the light show. It was so spot on. I left in the middle of the show because it sounded like a record. That's how good these people were, you know.
Yeah. I saw ads just this week around here for Fleetwood Mask and Fleetwood Macrame.
I love it. I love it. And you guys know Rudy Colombini, right? Of the Unauthorized Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And he just won an award in New York for being one of the better tribute bands, which good for him. And I love to see their show. I love it when he plays for us. And so, yeah, I have no problem with tribute bands. We need to teach the other bands a lesson.
When is the next Artista party?
Would be September 17th at the Block in Petaluma.
Oh, cool.
I chose the Block because it holds 300, 400 people.
Right.
Last year we had Ramblin' Jack Elliott show up, and he jumped up on the stage with Big Brother and the Holding Company. Or no, Barry Melton. Barry Melton is our house band, by the way.
Oh, awesome.
And with Banana and Roy Blumenfeld from the Blues Project, David Aguilar, they are our house band. So we got a good show this year. And I suppose I can tell you that Chris Kane is going to be our headliner.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know who Chris Kane is?
Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Great.
Yeah, I try to pick a good headliner. Okay.
We're about to run out of our time here. Kurt, you did a great job. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bob, is there anything you want to add?
No, thank you not only for coming on this, but thank you for keeping the Artista alive.
Well, thank you. I do my best. I made a promise to Pat Ryan that this is how it would be.
Well, you're doing great, and thank you so much for participating on our comedy podcast.
Hey, it hasn't been too funny, but come on down to the show next September, man. Come on, Mark. Cool. You haven't been to a show in a long time.
You haven't seen the end of me.
Yeah. Okay.
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 Thank you, guys.
Take care, guys.